Are you ready to have your mind blown? Because I was totally blown away by what you're about to see. This is a remote viewing session with two very accomplished remote viewers, and they were remote viewing the creation of the pyramids, specifically the Great Pyramid at Giza. And what they found out is just mind-shatteringly amazing, and some of it is a little scary. Some of it is really, really cool and exciting. So let's get into it. This is Cosmic Road, where I discuss UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like, please subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified of future videos. And as I'm going through the story, please comment below and let me know what you think. Also, there are ways to support the channel. You can become a channel member below. There's 2 tiers to receive exclusive access and videos. And there is a super thanks feature below where you can leave a tip in the tip jar to help support the channel so I can spend more time on the channel and make the best quality videos for you possible. Okay, let's get into the story. This is from a remote viewing session about 10 years ago with the Farsight Institute. The tasker assigned 2 extremely accomplished remote viewers, Dick Algiers and Daz Smith, to remote view the creation of the pyramids. Of course, they had no idea what they were remote viewing, although Daz was kind of figuring out a little bit as he went along. Not simply the creation of the pyramids, but the mining process, the reasoning behind the pyramids, and who ultimately built them. So this is super fascinating. I'm going to show you a few clips from that, from both Dick's and Daz's sessions. This may be long enough where I will need to break it into multiple videos, but there is some really amazing stuff that these guys found out. So without further ado, here is one of Dick's early sessions. Oh, and yeah, these guys are the real deal as far as remote viewers go. You know, that's not to say everything they picked up is 100% correct, but they are really accomplished remote viewers. If your, criticism is that they might be frauds or charlatans, I invite you to Google them and to research who they are, and you will see that they are not. They are very good remote viewers, some of the best there has ever been. But again, that's not to say that everything they picked up is correct. So anyway, so here is Dick.
Hi, this is more earthy. This is very dense right here. This is very enclosed, confining, claustrophobic. Well, it's big but claustrophobic at the same time. So it's a big cavernous place, but it's dim, it's dark, it's claustrophobic because you feel like deep underground. There's almost, how can I draw this? Like a tunnel, okay? So you're going in this, okay, and these guys go in here. The sense of descending. This really feels like miners going into a mine, but they're not like miners. Like if you were miners going into the coal mine, you'd be carrying your lunch bucket, you'd be joking with your friends about what your girlfriend did last night and what you're going to do after work. You're going to go look at the game. None of that. There's none of that. These guys are just, and they're all the same size. They're like little clones of each other, clones. And genetically manipulated, genetic modification, and worker bees. Okay, so they're going down. It's a confining place, but it's big. There's like a big ceiling. And this is an environment that is really nasty, hot, gritty, acrid, bad smoke. If I was there, I would choke to death in an instant. And Okay, I got to remember something about the face mask. Face mask. Face mask. I got to draw that next, but I can't do it when I'm in. Okay. There's a glow down in here. Like molten something. Like very, like in a steel foundry, they have a slag heap that the molten stuff is there. It's sizzling and steaming and emitting noxious gases. This is a very unhealthy place. This is a bad environment. And they're bred to be here. They can handle it, but only for a little while, because they, it's like they've got a part of their DNA that allows them to slough off or absorb or somehow be in this environment, and they degrade, but not as fast. There's a degradation, so after a while they become useless. So they're programmed, and they come here, and it feels like mining or terraforming, building something deep underground that is, and it might involve mining, tunneling with fusing rock, melting it literally, and there's just evil gases here, but they can handle it, but only for a little while. And so it's not that they wear out, they just get defective. They will they'll just walk into the molten stuff, get close enough to it that they cease to function. And so the people in charge, it bothered them. How can we make them survive this longer? But ultimately they don't care, because they can just make a new crop. They can just get rid of these.
Isn't that insane? So, yeah, so these little clone guys that look and behave a lot like the lower tier Greys were building the pyramids, or involved in the creation of the stones or something. It's a little bit unclear, because they did have multiple tasking sessions where they looked into different aspects of the pyramids, and one was involving the mining and the creation of the stones, another was transporting, another was building, another was the the builders and the reasoning behind the creation of the pyramids themselves. So, but anyway, it from what Dick picked up, it appears that the pyramids were built by aliens, the visitors, whatever you want to call them. But it is about to get even weirder. So without further ado, here is what he had to say when he was talking about how the clones were created. And it goes in a surprising place.
Viscous. I can't spell when I'm viscous. Viscous? How do you spell that? Viscous. Thick. It's a greenish, it's a thick fluid. These are fetuses. There's a room full of these, man. Okay. These are it's like they don't have souls. They're just grown in a solution to be genetically engineered robots. And if they have a soul, it's a very primitive soul, like just enough to animate it, but not enough to give it aspirations and humanity, it would be like a way lower life form. That's the caretaker. That's the overseer. Actually, it looks like Elephant Man. It's not Elephant Man. This is Praying Mantis Lady. Okay. Did I say that? This is not... These are eyes. This is not Elephant Man. This is Praying Mantis Lady. And she's actually has a kind of a, for how spooky looking this is, has a nurturing feel, like a female, almost motherly kind of feel. Not a startling, but not frightening. To her, we look like guppies. We're not scary. We're just different. Very intelligent, but caring in a certain way. Businesslike, but a nice, it's oh man, I gotta deal with this for a minute. Hang on. This is just very nicely, like how entertaining that you'd be looking at this, but move along. It's not your business.
You can probably see my reaction in the video. I filmed this live. As I'm watching it, this is the first time I'm seeing this. So you can see my reaction when the mantids popped up, specifically the mantid lady. So let's just break that down a little bit. For those who have researched alien abductions a lot, you will be familiar with the mantids. Others may be scratching their heads and thinking that's really crazy and silly. But again, if you're somebody like me who has obsessively studied alien abductions and contact experiences, you will have run across the mantids many times. And to give you a small overview of what the contact experiences seem to indicate. And I've studied these obsessively, like I say, because I think it is the best way to peer behind the curtain, to see what is going on with the visitors, with the beings, what they are all about, what is the abduction process, what is that for, what are they doing, why are they here. The best way to get that information, unless they just come out and tell us, provided you could believe them, is to have these contactees, these experiencers, who have been hypnotically regressed to recover their memories because their memories have been wiped pretty much most of the time. There's a few cases like Dolly that Preston Dennett has interviewed many times and written books about, who is a fully conscious abductee or contactee. But mostly they have their minds wiped, and so it's a good way, to analyze these regression sessions and finding out what the beings are doing from that intelligence is a good way as we're going to get that I know of to peer behind the curtain. So to give you a slight overview of what the overall impression is from looking at these contact experiences, the Mantis beings, the Mantids, are the overseers of the great project that is going on in Earth and the solar system. And they use the Greys as a labor force, and there's a whole bunch of different categories of Greys, and they seem to be, the lower tiers seem to be created beings that are more like clones, very little individuality. They are, living androids, if you will. They may have some synthetic components. But there's a whole range of Greys. They get taller and they get more individualized, and even some of the smaller ones seem to have personalities and individualities. But you also can't judge a Grey by their appearance because other beings seem to take the form of Greys, and that's a different conversation. It's very complicated. I don't pretend to understand it, but I have absorbed a lot of information about it. So, but yeah, the Mantids are the overseers. People that interact with them seem to have an overall good impression of them. They can be warm, they can be friendly, where the Greys are not usually. They are the bosses. They are, the overseers, like I said. They seem to be higher level entities, possibly coming from a higher level of existence. They are very intelligent, very long-lived. So they are overseeing the Project Earth and maybe the Project Solar System. They are, I wouldn't say the highest authority in the solar system as far as the beings go, because there do seem to be different factions and different groups, and but the Mantids are usually associated with the more positive aspects of the phenomenon, even if they are directly overseeing abductions. That gets into the idea that some abductions, maybe many abductions, are actually serving some ultimate good. Whether that's the evolution of humanity or something else, it's hard to say. Hard for me anyway. I've studied this stuff a lot, and a lot of experiencers have very specific things that they have come to believe about that. And, I don't want to, it's not up to me to gainsay those guys. And, but a lot of them talk about developing abilities, psychic and spiritual abilities that have been nurtured and taught them by their experiences with the beings. And then there's the more negative abductions where they don't have that. So that seems to be done by a different faction, not necessarily the Mantids, but somebody else, maybe the Greys working independently, doing their own thing. That gets into the Voyagers, the book The Voyagers information. If you take that as information, it breaks that down in a way that makes sense, but it's very weird and very trippy and has to do with alternate timelines and futures and other realities. But, a benevolent Mantis lady, which is what he was seeing, that's not the first time I've encountered that. There have been abductees, or there's one abductee or contactee who referred to the Mantis being that was overseeing her abductions and her experiences. She called her mother, and they had a very warm and loving relationship. And maybe they still do to this day. I'm not telling anybody what to believe. You don't have to believe any of this, but I'm just, letting you know there is a wide body of evidence to support these ideas. That doesn't mean they're right, but there is a lot of evidence to support them. And one of the most fascinating things about this remote viewing session is that the Mantis lady noticed him. And that is something that you see in remote viewing sessions sometimes, where the subject, even if it's something in the past, becomes aware of the viewer. And I've seen that several times, and that is eerie and crazy. It doesn't seem to make any sense, especially if you're remote viewing someone in the past. You think of the past as a static thing, something that has happened, and you are reading a book from the past. But no, because there is no time. When you study all this, these beings come from outside of the stream of time. Time has a whole different meaning than what we think it is, at least to go by the evidence that I've seen. I'm not going to get into that here. And that's going to be too crazy for a lot of people. But yeah, so she turns around and notices him and says, you know, this is above your pay grade, basically. This is kind of funny, but get out of here. That was insane. Anyway, so, you know, to summarize, we have what looks like a very low tier gray workforce building the pyramids for these Mantis beings. So why are they building the pyramids? Well, to answer that question, we have to get into more remote viewing sessions that I can't wait to get into. However, I feel like this video has gone on long enough, and I've probably lost some people with the weirdness of it. So I'm going to dedicate a separate video for the reason behind the pyramids. I think that this video has given us enough to chew on. I know it's given me enough to chew on. I had been under the impression that the pyramids were probably built by Atlantis, or the Atlanteans are influenced heavily by Atlantis. But perhaps not. Anyway, what do you think about all of this craziness? Please let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear your thoughts on it. And as always, if you've enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. That'd be super awesome. Please smash that subscribe button and the bell to be notified of future videos. Please share this on social media. There's Facebook and Twitter links below. I would love to interact with you guys there. So if you'd follow me there, that'd be super cool. And there is a memberships below. You can join tier 1 or tier 2 and support the channel to help me make the better quality videos that you deserve. And you can also leave a tip in the tip jar with the super thanks feature below. So just consider that. Until next time, this is Jack from Cosmic Road.